Welcome back to the ChatterBox podcast. Today, joined with me is a friend of mine from high school. We both recently just graduated and are now freshmen at college. Today, we'll be talking about college, adapting to college, and figuring out how to deal with all the new responsibilities that come with going to college. Okay, so Liam, my first question for you is what was your first day of college like? Please bring me to the moment you get dropped off by your parents, enter the dorm room, they leave, and you're by yourself.
Well, Jason, thanks for having me on today. Yeah, I mean, the past year has been pretty. It's been a lot of stuff, and then obviously going to college has been pretty big. Still remember the day, just like it was yesterday. Nice, cooler day in August. Woke up really early. Didn't I was so nervous the day before going to college, and just figuring out. I remember all the bags in the living room of basically my whole life, clearing out my room and
Yeah.
packing it into the car. It was a lot. My mom was stressed. My dad too. He didn't really show it though. My brothers, and it was kind of just saying goodbye to chapter of my life that was very comfortable and being at home and kind of having a lot given to me.
Yeah.
Um, Made the drive and then did went for the first day. I was with my parents a lot, but then also some friends from town that also were going to the same school. So I kind of hung out with them through the day. Met my roommates, setting up my room, which was kind of like an interesting process. It was just unpacking, meeting people. Like it was just a lot of stimulus in one place. And for some people, like can be hard to handle. I handled it pretty well. And then there were different things we did through the day. We went to lunch, and then did like a mass at the end out on the football field and said our goodbyes, which was hard, and then marched over to orientation, got into orientation groups, and you're with, again, you feel like you're 10 years old back at sleepaway.
Yeah, yeah.
And I
Yeah.
remember how that was, and I was like, oh God, like I'm doing this again. I'm 18 years old. Like, what am I doing here? And I mean, we're eating food, like this random food outside with these people I've never seen before. We're taking our class photo on day zero. Like, we have no idea who we are. Everyone's talking to each other. I mean, pretty much asked like everyone, oh, what's your name, where you're from, what's your major, or what are you planning at? And that was
Yeah.
kind of the main thing. It was
Yeah,
like
yeah.
everyone was going around, and then at night the college had something out on like their main quad with food and games, and that was kind of fun. And that's where I met kind of mostly some of my friends that I'm friendly with in my dorm. Not really hang out with too much, but just know like in general, like my neighbors and other people on my floor had like RA meetings and stuff. But I
Yeah.
think that first day probably was the longest day of my life that I can remember.
Yeah, I just remember like because I know some people said it hit them like right away. When I first got to UConn, I was kind of like it was just so much chaos. Like immediately, by the time I'm done like setting everything up, they had like an orientation thing, and then it was just back to back to back for like 3 days in a row.
We had like a booklet of a schedule of things
Yeah,
that we had
yeah,
to
yeah.
do. It was like meet here with your orientation group at this time.
Yeah, and I remember we did all those like annoying like icebreakers where it was like I don't know. I think we went around with a circle. There was a beach ball.
That
and
was what we had.
You
The
had
beach
that
ball.
too,
They
okay.
wrote on the and whatever
Yeah.
landed on like your thumb or
Yeah,
something.
you had to
was-
like
yeah.
answer the question like
Yeah, that was
if
a
you
little
were an
annoying.
alien, what planet would you be from? Or some like,
Random
stupid,
questions you're never going to
stupid
need
stuff
to
like that.
answer. Yeah.
So that's what I remember, and I remember like when I actually found my real friends or like the friends I hang out with now, it wasn't from like the first couple of days.
Yeah.
It was just like they were in the same floor as
Yeah.
me, but we kind of just met outside of the orientation stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was similar
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah. Well, for me,
yeah.
I mean, I was friendly with my orientation group kids. I still am, but it wasn't really my main friends I'm friends with now that I hang out with every day.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of different. So I think that's kind of a thing. Is it's like, again, it might take time. Orientation for me was long. It was like 5 days before classes even started. So it's a lot of downtime in the beginning, which you're probably not used to because you're still figuring out food and unpacking, and then you're going to this place for this meeting you don't want to be at.
Yeah.
So and at night it's like, what are you doing? So
Yeah.
it was a little weird in the beginning, but I think you definitely adjust to it.
Yeah, definitely. But I think like, what did you? Because it took me a little bit to actually, I guess, miss home. Like, because it was so much new stuff that I had to get accustomed to. So I wasn't really like thinking about home too much. I was just thinking about, okay, where's the dining hall? Oh, there's actually a dining hall right next to me because we kept going to another one.
Yeah.
And it looked just like a residential building. There was a dining hall. And then it was like, okay, like I got classes now, or my classes, all that stuff. So it took me a little bit. And then I think when like the track season started and like they were running cross country and I was looking at the races, I was like, oh yeah, that's right. I'm in college.
Yeah.
Like that's when it actually hit me, probably like a month in.
Yeah.
Was yours like pretty instant? Because I know some kids had it instant.
Yeah, so I moved in like on a Wednesday. I think honestly by the weekend I was kind of like, this is pretty intense. Like, or not really intense, but just like different. But I feel like once classes started for us on that Tuesday or whatever, and end of August, I was in the zone. Yeah. And I think once classes started, you got to get in your, I got in my rotation, my routine, food, and then kind of having something to do, like, oh, I can just go to the library and do work instead of just like sitting in your dorm figuring out what to do and you don't know anybody.
Yeah. I think I got lucky in the sense that I was able to find a friend group pretty quickly. So I wasn't like, I guess, lonely, but like, that part I wasn't like sitting in my room alone. Like, damn, I wish I was home with my friends.
Yeah.
But like when I did like when it finally did slow down a little bit, and I got some time to myself, and I actually was like thinking about it. That's when it like hit me more. What was the most surprising thing about being on your own for the first time?
Honestly, for college, once you kind of get in, it's not like once you get 2 weeks, 3 weeks under your belt, it's not really it doesn't really get too much harder. And I feel like for me, like I have my routine. I do laundry once or twice a week. Like I know what time to go, get food. I know what the food is. Like you're kind of used to it. You know where things are, your professors, people in your classes. So I think you really have to give it until like mid-September to really get it going. And that was surprising to me. I thought it was going to be a little bit, maybe longer to try to adjust, but I feel like it's actually not as long as people make it out to be. Like I think once you really get in that routine, it's pretty much smooth sailing from there. Obviously, you're going to meet newer people and have different bumps, but you just have to really be involved and take up a lot of your schedule. You need to do things that are going to take up a lot of time.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe the most surprising thing for me was just like the whole figuring out a schedule, because high school was so like structured. I had high school from like 7:40 to 2:20, and then we had practice, and then I'd go home and do homework. And at college, it's like you could have a class at like 5 p.m., one at like 9 a.m., and then one at like 2 p.m. So it's so spaced out, and there's these blocks of times in between it. You're just like, it's like if you lived literally at our high school, like everything's just there, so it all blends into one. And so I had to create some sort of structure myself, and I did kind of miss having like that experience where there was like the competitiveness and like activity while also hanging out with like your friends, like because I feel like you're doing more things alone, I think, in college, also together and alone. It's both the mix.
It's more of like different because I tried out and I'm on a club tennis team, but I didn't no one else that I knew was doing it, but I'm like, I have to do it. And then I met kids, on that who are also upperclassmen. So I think it's just you kind of, and I was doing like other business clubs as well. So you kind of have to really think more for yourself in a way, like what's going to benefit you. Because college is only 4 years of your life. So what's going to be after that? And that's part of what being in college is finding out what you like to do. And you kind of, if you want to try something, just go ahead and try it because it's going to be worth it.
I guess what I did realize is it's more, like you said, on you. I think in high school, it's more of like, oh, what club are you joining? Okay, I'll join that club with you. Whereas in college, it's more, you have to actually be proactive, look at the clubs, find out what you'd be interested in, and go, even if you don't have a friend going or something like that. It makes you, I don't know if it's responsibility or if it's more like like leadership or like seeking opportunities and taking advantage of what's in front of you. Because I found that interesting because there'd be kids doing things. I'm like, oh, I didn't know about that. But I was like, I mean, it's not their job to like tell me, right? Like you have to look and seek those things out. How did you create a routine for yourself in college?
I mean, I kind of once classes started, I went off of my class times a lot. So I know
Mm,
I had classes that started around 9, 10 a.m. and then I kind of go get lunch around 11:30 before my 1 o'clock, and then
yeah.
dinner, same thing. I kind of go on the earlier end because my college is a little smaller. We only have one main dining hall, so it gets
Ooh.
a little crowded.
Yeah.
So we would go to dinner a little bit earlier just because there'd be usually a long line. Um, so and then you kind of just you go off your classes, but then friends as well. To me, I feel like the weekdays are definitely more structured than the weekends. Weekends is kind of a free for all.
Yeah.
I mean, you have a lot of freedom. You can do
Yeah. Definitely.
really what you want. Like you go out to parties, or we would go to like sports game, football game, tailgates. Like there's a lot of things you can do. Go do homework. Like I know big homework day for me is Sunday, kind
Yeah.
of recovering from the weekend and kind of just getting back ready for Monday. So it's really like having a routine. I usually do my laundry like on Sundays as well in the morning. So you kind of just go off your schedule and what's right for you, like sleep schedule, eat schedule, and then I thing that I've really done well and I would highly recommend prioritize is make sure you carve out time to call your mom and dad
Mm. Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I usually try to carve out time every day and it's kind of nice because it keeps kind of me looped in at what's going on at home and still like I'm not really far removed from my family and sometimes it's just like a half hour usually after dinner give them a quick call and it's always nice to hear they want to hear from you so I think that's kind of just keep that connection call your mom call your dad and just kind of just see how they're doing because they want to know what you're doing as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think especially since you can be so busy um, in college, it could slip your mind. I tried to make it like a habit every Sunday to do it because that was a little bit more of like a chill day, I guess, where people were just doing homework and were just chilling in their rooms after the crazy
Yeah,
weekend. So I would try to do it then, and I got to like see the dog that we
yeah,
got and catch up on like I think we got like a new fence or
yeah,
something because a tree fell and all that
hmm
stuff,
yeah,
and just catch up on what my older brother was doing, what my mom was doing,
yeah,
and all that stuff. So I think that was important to do because, especially like since freshman, especially you since you're like the first kid, like
yeah.
maybe
I
it's
don't have
more.
any older siblings, so I've had to done.
Yeah,
I've always been the guy who had to do it first, and
yeah,
definitely for college was the biggest change. So
mm,
kind of have I didn't really have anyone close that I could talk to about the experience.
yeah, yeah, because it's new to your parents too. So like my mom, I'm the fourth kid, like twins, so she may have not like cared as much. Um,
My mom, she was very
yeah, it was more.
proactive
It's more
about
of like
yeah,
she's done this
yeah,
2 times already. She's like, yeah, I know the deal.
yeah. She knows the
Um,
lingo.
okay, let me see. Uh, what was it like meeting new people and making friends in a completely new place? Because I know the first days they tried to do all those like orientation social things. I don't know
Yeah.
how that was like with you. Were you like um, going out and talking to everybody, or was it kind of more like
They had
uncomfortable?
different functions and events that
Okay.
people went to more early on, first day, second day. Everyone went because everyone's in the same boat. Kind of, first weekend, I mean, at my school, only freshmen were on campus for the first four
Same.
or five
Same.
days. So there wasn't really much going on in terms of partying. Um, but I think for a big thing is not like a trend that I've seen is not a lot of people who were friends as their orientation friends are still friends now.
Okay.
So I think for me, like I've met my friends in pretty random situations. Like at the end of orientation, there's had like a university convocation, and I know one of my friends from town was knew someone on his floor, and I was starting to talk with him, and I think we're going to room together next year.
Oh, really?
So yeah,
Nice.
and then another kid who
Nice.
this was during orientation. I was in the dining hall waiting in the long line, and I look at the kid behind me and say hi, start a conversation. We have dinner, and again, we're like in the same friend group still now. We're gonna go on spring break together. So it's like it shows those little things, those very like small instances of putting yourself out there can really go a long way, and
Mhm.
just things are always fluctuating. So even if it's really small, like interactions between people, it might come to something bigger.
Yeah, I mean, just saying like hi, introducing yourself, and talking to people. Because I remember those first days, I did that to like a lot of people, and some of them like I haven't seen, but I'll occasionally see them. It's just like a friendly face, like someone you see in the hallway, just to say hi. may not like actually build like a bigger relationship, but just knowing more people, I think, makes you feel more comfortable in the environment. I think me being part of like the LC helped a lot because it's a lot of people with similar interests of like business, and just being around that building and knowing those people and having the same classes with them made it more feel more I guess welcoming because it's such a big
Yeah.
school.
Yeah, get to know people in your classes is
Yeah,
definitely
yeah,
huge.
yeah.
I mean, I go to a smaller school, so I recognize people every day. I mean, you go to a bigger school, so
Hmm.
I don't really know that experience. It's
Yeah,
probably a little, it's definitely different in terms of social.
yeah, yeah. There's just more. Um, there's so many more people you don't know, but it's also like that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah,
Like you get there's enough people where you can find your people.
yeah.
Is what. Um, yeah. Uh, do you think living away from home has changed how you view relationships with your family and friends back at home?
Um, Not really. I mean, for me, I had kind of all of September, I was away at school. In October, I had a week off, which was nice, fall break. So I came home, Thanksgiving and winter break, obviously. So for me, I was definitely like home, like at least try to be once a month, see my family. But again, I would call my mom, try to be every day just for a little bit, just to check in and stuff. And I mean, with friends too, we would do FaceTimes and texting each other. So it wasn't, I didn't really feel too removed from anyone in a way. It honestly probably made it a little bit better because it forced you to put effort into keeping those relationships with friends. And I
Mhm.
think it really showed like who are the people that you actually want to spend time with in the future.
Yeah, and who you actually like stayed
Want to
connected with.
stay. Yeah. So it's like putting and forcing an effort to text and FaceTime because when you're in high school, you see them every day.
Yeah.
So it's a little different.
Just turn on. All right, whatever. Yeah, I mean, I found that like having those FaceTimes were good to like catch up with
Yeah. Just see how people
family
are
and the
doing. And
friends.
yeah.
See what everybody else is doing. Uh, I don't. I did find it different though going back home because it just felt like I don't know. You have so much freedom in college, and when you go home, you kind of have like your parents back on you a little bit, like that pressure or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, so you kind of just have to adjust a little bit, and it felt a little weird being back home.
I thought being
Um,
home for the first time, I mean, again, most people it's probably going to be Thanksgiving, but I was home in October. That was a little bit weirder, but then coming home a second time was definitely easier.
yeah. Because it was just like you were so used to the routine that you've built for
Yeah.
like a month or two,
And then it just stops for a little.
and then you're like back home,
Yeah.
back at your hometown, but you're not really doing the same thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of just like a stint.
But you're also not at school. Like you feel like you're kind of an adult in a sense, and you
Mhm.
are an adult, but
Yeah.
you're still adult with like no job is kind of how it is. But
Yeah.
that's what college
Yeah.
is in a way.
It's practicing to be an
It's
adult.
practicing to be an adult.
Yeah. Okay. What's the most valuable thing you've learned about yourself since starting college?
Um, Most valuable thing I learned, I think college really kind of it tests your, ability to, speak for yourself. And I think
Mhm.
because there's so much going on, there's so many different people with so many different values, where they're from, what they like to do, what they did in high school, what sports they played. And I think college, it's a jumble. And I think finding yourself and finding your people is definitely a must. And you also just find out what you like to do. If you like to go out, to parties on weekends or go to sports games, like there's different things that you kind of have to figure. And I feel like from seeing myself is what do I like to do and what I want to do. Like obviously want to do well in school. That's what you're paying all the money for in college. But again, you also need to have fun as well and let loose because you're only, between 18 and 22 once. So
Yeah.
you're only at college once. So I think you really need to find, that middle ground, that balance, and just really find the boundaries and know what's best for you.
I mean, I think finding balance, I'm learning more of how to do because I didn't really have balance, I would say, in high school. It was more of just my mentality was just work really hard, like nonstop, and then I'd get sick, and they'd be like, "All right, now it's time to
Yeah.
rest." Um, but I'm learning. I mean, it wasn't great. I got sick twice in college, so
Me
like
too.
twice in a
Yes,
row. I had to
not
be back
not
to
fun.
back antibiotics, like bad sicknesses. So like I'm learning how to incorporate rest and not have it be seen as like a
I
bad
think
thing.
everyone, yeah, because I got sick. It's
Hmm.
make sure you bring your Tylenol and your Advil
Yes, yeah, yeah,
because you are gonna get sick somehow, some way. Everyone does. So
yeah. No, a lot of people got sick. The first like month in, it was
yeah,
like my whole building got
I was pretty
sick.
good the first month. It was like October.
I think maybe yeah, maybe October. It was like end of the month, end of September, beginning of October is when
Yeah,
everybody got sick, and then yeah, I just remember like my whole building was sick, and then I got sick again. So I kind of had to learn like incorporate rest because I was like waking up early, go at like 5 6 a.m. And then going to bed kind of late and like there's a lot more noises in college, so harder to get sleep. Didn't get the best sleep either. So I was learning how to balance both sleep, rest, all the different things that college offered, creating a schedule, and it was just a lot of, I guess, stress.
yeah.
I mean, did you ever have like a breaking point, or were you able to like kind of
There were
figure it out?
times I feel like my times would be Friday, Saturday. I wouldn't feel good
Mm.
because late nights and then you're kind of waking up, not feeling great.
Yeah,
So, it kind of those, and then during the week you feel good, but you have to prioritize, academics obviously are first, but you got to find that balance. And again, college, you might get caught up in things like socially or academically, so you kind of have to just, and you don't have your parents to tell you, oh, you have to go do this. Like you're
yeah,
on your own telling yourself what to do. So I think you just have to be able to respond and be like, hey, like I can't do that, or I need to sit in my room for a little bit and just listen to music. So you kind of have to just find that ground for yourself.
yeah. Um, what advice would you give to someone who's about to leave home for the first time?
I would say just don't have any expectations because I had some expectations going in about meeting people. Even on the first day, I was like, all right, I'm probably going to be friends with him, and we're going to go from there. But that never works out. You kind of just have to think to yourself, okay, I'm here. I'm just going to see what happens every day. Every day is a new day,
Yeah,
especially early on the first 2 weeks. Like once classes start and orientation, meeting people, because orientation sucks. Like it really does. Like there's nothing good really about that. So I think you just have to really, learn yourself that just take it day by day. Talk to your roommates too, because those are kind of just built-in friends in a way. Like I have two roommates. I'm in a triple, so my room's a little smaller.
mhm,
And we kind of just talk like I have a roommate who's from Australia, and I have a roommate who's from California. So it's kind of three very different people,
mm,
and one of them's
sure.
an athlete as well. So it's a lot of different stuff going on, but
Yeah,
just talk to them, and those are kind of people that if like you're out somewhere, it's like, oh yeah, like I know that person, he's my roommate. So that's people that built in, like seeing the dining hall or anywhere. But I think big thing is just taking it day by day, and don't think to yourself like that's what's going to happen. You just kind of just have to wait and see.
yeah, yeah. I think it was advice that I would have for someone who's about to leave home. Um, Talk to as many people as you can the first couple of days. Maybe uncomfortable, especially if you're not like an extrovert or you're more introverted.
Everyone's uncomfortable the first
But
couple days. So
you have like nobody knows who you are, so you have the chance to change who even you might think you are in your head. Like if you are more introverted, you kind it will be uncomfortable obviously because it's not normal for you to do it because it's new. But people don't know that. People don't know who you are. They're in their head as well, as much as you are, maybe even more. So just go up, like say your name, say major, and like that could be a friend eventually or not, but at least you have another friend in the face that you know. And people want to make friends those first couple of days anyways.
yeah.
So they're gonna gravitate towards you because you're a friendly face. And it will be just good to know as many people as you can because they're all potential friends.
And don't be fake. Don't be a jerk. Like
Yeah,
just be nice to people. Like don't be annoying because then you're just going to turn people away from you.
Yeah, don't
So,
try to like, oh, I'm gonna be because I wasn't popular. I'm gonna party so
frat
hard and
boy,
like you
stereotype,
could do like you can be a part of a frat. You can do all of that, but you don't need to.
you don't need to
Um,
force it on yourself if you don't
yes,
want to be.
yeah.
Be true to yourself.
Because if you were maybe putting on a persona in high school just to fit in, like you don't really need to do that anymore because everybody's doing kind of their own thing. And if you, it's better to find out who you are and have your own thing because that makes you more interesting. If you're just pretending to be like a specific narrative because you think that's what people will like, then it's gonna just be boring and you're not gonna have friends that you actually can connect with. I was gonna ask you a question. I'm trying to remember it. Let me use one of. What are some things that you wish you had known before starting college? Use that question.
Just know that the food is not going to be as good as home food because
Yeah.
it takes adjusting. And if you're kind of picky eater, I'm not really a picky eater, so it wasn't really too much problem for me. But I know some people that's like some nights at the dining hall is just not good. Like it's chicken you don't like.
Friday night at the dining hall.
Usually at my college, the weekends are worse than the weekdays.
Definitely.
So you just have to really just adjust. Honestly, that's a big thing. Is food is huge.
Yeah.
Is just kind of know, that things are going to be choppier than what they were at home.
Yeah.
And also another thing is the bathroom situation as well. The bathroom is it's not going to be nice. Like you're going to have shower. Like it's going to be like communal bathroom, communal showers. Like you're going to have to adjust to that and just know they might get trashed a couple times. So just kind of know that it's going to be different, but you're just going to go right through it. And you're like, it's not great, but that's part of what the college experience is.
Yeah. And I think just not getting worked up about anything, like
go with the flow.
It's not going to be perfect, like you said. Like the bathrooms might be disgusting. Yeah. It's all going to be new experiences, but the thing is, like everybody's experiencing it. So like, there's no point in complaining because everybody has it. We're all in the same boat, and it's just part of the college experience. It makes for some good stories, I would say.
You will get good stories out of things.
Yeah, and it's out of some of the negatives, maybe like the bathroom, the stalls, the food. It brings also a lot of positives because there's always like people your age around. Like I can walk down my hallway and randomly see someone in the bathroom, and then he's like, "Oh, you want to go play ping pong?" And then I'm doing ping pong for the next 2 hours.
Yeah.
Like there's always something, or just go to the lounge and I'll find somebody to play with or do something with. And so there's always like things to do. You just have to get out of your room and find it.
Yeah. I think this is just general, but if you're at a school and again, you're 2-3 weeks in and maybe you're still not, fully adjusted to it yet, I think everyone has to give it the first semester. You got to give it time. You can't automatically think like 2 weeks in, I don't like it here. There's always like I didn't really meet my full-on friend group until like mid to end of September. Like it took a little bit to get things going.
Yeah.
So I think you just have to give it time and some like full semester of classes and finals to really see, okay, like is this a good fit for me?
Yeah. And also like I think you may have done some things in high school, and if you really liked it, like with you at tennis, you had tennis and you joined the tennis club. But if you like there's so many more opportunities in college, especially if we didn't go to the smallest high school, but I know some people went to pretty small high schools. They may have not had too many opportunities, but like my college is pretty big, so it has a lot of clubs. So if there's anything you're like interested in, just go to one of the first club meetings. Like, even if you don't know anybody there, because like it could be the next thing that you do for the next 4 years. Like mine was joining the track team in high school. Just find something. It doesn't have to be something you do for the next 4 years. It's just something that you try out for a day.
Try it in the moment.
And then if you liked it, you just keep going to. If you don't like it, nobody's forcing you to stay. Like I did track in high school, and then I joined the running club. I only went for like a day, and I didn't really like it. I still enjoy running, but I'm just going to do it on my own. But you don't force yourself to go and do things you did in high school just because you've done it before. And also, don't not try new things because you might just do it as a joke. Oh, I'm going to join like the breakdancing club or something like that, and then you actually find out you really enjoy it. you continue to do it and have a good time.
Yes.
Especially if you're struggling to make friends, joining clubs is like number one thing you can do.
Yeah.
And just going in the dining hall and sitting next to people and be like, "Oh, what's your name?" Which I did a lot. Yeah. Let me see. Do you have any other things you want to talk about?
Not really. I mean, we kind of touched on, moving in is hard, but I mean, I've only done. I mean, me and you have only been through one semester, so it's not like we're experts at
No,
college or
not,
anything. But we're just talking about the freshman beginning experience.
Yeah, the first semester.
And I mean, we talked about, connecting with your roots and keeping your hometown in your back pocket, and that's definitely a big thing. Like having friends in high school, definitely keep in touch with them because they're also going through the same thing. You can kind of talk about your different experiences, shared experiences, and then you'll see them again over breaks. So it's kind of just, you're going along with it. And again, you are going to be, more alone than you were in high school. If you had like very, huge friend group, very popular in high school, like college, you're definitely going to be a little bit more alone. But again, that can be very positive as well because you can then create your own path for life.
Also, you can take advantage of that alone time and actually figure out what you want to do because you can get so caught up in the high school activities that you have, and then it's like preparing for SATs, looking for colleges. Everything's like happens so quickly. There's so many things you have to do. You might not actually know what you want to do. A lot of people go undecided. Like that's huge.
My school is everyone has to go in undecided.
Really?
You can't declare until like February freshman year. So everyone's in the same boat going in. I mean, obviously a lot of people know what they want to do, but you have to go in undecided as your label.
Yeah,
so.
Because like don't immediately like if you can't find friends right away, maybe that's not necessarily the worst thing, because then you can spend the time that you do have figuring out what you are actually interested in, and maybe do some research and figure out things that you like and don't like, because then you like spend some time on you first before you're seeking out other people just to like fill the space of time.
Yeah.
Because you might seek out like the wrong people just because they're there.
Yeah.
And then once you find out things you're interested in, you go to the clubs that you're interested in, then you'll find people that have similar interests to you. And you'll be able to maybe like show a different aspect of you that you didn't have in high school because you were friends with people in a certain thing.
I'm at smaller school, it's liberal arts, so there's going to be core curriculum that you're going to have to do. Like I want to do business when I'm older. So a lot of schools I were looking at had business schools, and then the one I'm ultimately in now doesn't have business schools. So that was a little bit of a turnoff initially, but looking back at it, the liberal arts school is definitely really good because, I have to take like a foreign language requirement, and Spanish is what I take. And originally at the end of high school, I was kind of like, I don't want to do another Spanish class ever again. And then I had to do it in college, and I did it this semester, and it was really great. So it's like, don't knock really anything until you try it, because like don't go in with premonitions about, oh, I'm not going to do that, I'm going to do this. Like always say to yourself, oh, I could try that. Like never really say I'm not going to do that, because you might give a false pretense about it.
So for the people that are like unsure of whether they want to go to college, don't know what they really want to do, but they end up going to college anyways, what advice would you give to them? Because they're still uncertain. Like it's a big cost, especially if you don't know what you want to do. Like what advice would you say you'd give to them?
I would say use your resources wisely, because everyone has an academic person that they go to about their classes or anything. And mine was very helpful, with registering for classes and kind of figuring out like what major I want to do. Like I kind of knew what major I want to do going in, but I think academically is go to your academic advisor. Like they're there to help you. My college has a great career center as well for resumes and just like career building in general for future internships. So I think that's kind of a big thing, and definitely start on that, on the earlier side. Like don't just start junior year, like start your freshman year, go talk to them, because they're very helpful, and that's their job. They want to help you. So if you go to them, they're going to be a really good resource.
Especially if you were the type of person to kind of coast through high school. If you want to like if you don't have an idea of what you want to do, I kind of think of college for certain people as like stalling a little bit, but you only have like 4 years, and you realize how fast high school
It's
went.
gonna go by quick.
College will go by equally
It's
as
gonna
fast,
go by fast.
maybe even faster. So even though it may feel early, I would start looking at what jobs you might want to do or what you're interested in now and start creating a plan. Because after college, unless you go get your master's, this is kind of it. And now you need to go into either the workforce, whatever you end up wanting to do, maybe military or something like that. But you have to, it's the launch pad into what you do next for a longer period of time. Because college and high school are only 4 years, but after that, your career could be 10, 20, 30, 40 years of a specific thing. So really put in the time to find your interest, maybe be a little bit more selfish, make the friends at the beginning, but then maybe be a little bit more selfish and look in towards what you're actually interested in, especially if you're uncertain, because these 4 years are going to go by fast, and structuring, like actually researching and looking into your interest will set you up better for the long run, so you're not panicking junior and senior year of college.
And don't narrow yourself too much. The world is your oyster. You can do whatever you want to do. If you have these goals in your life that you want to do, go do them. And that's what college is there. It's kind of a bridge between, and it's also just a time to really sit down and think about your life goals.
Mm-hmm.
And, if you want to get this job or do that, like there's a lot of things you can do, and you can do it all, but you kind of just have to figure out a good way to do it. And that's kind of what college is really mapping. Okay, this is what I want to do in life, and when am I going to do it? So,
but also know your limitations, because you don't need to do all of your goals in 1 year. I'm learning that.
You have 4 years of college.
But you also have the rest of your life.
Yes.
Pick like 2 to 3 goals that you have and spend the time doing it, but don't do it out of like, oh, I need to do this like hateful energy. Do it out of enjoyment. And if you don't feel like doing it in certain moments, you don't have to do it.
And if you're not enjoying it at all, then just scrap it. Like you want to be able to enjoy it if it's for leisure.
Don't die with the goal just because it was a goal that you set.
Don't go down with it. Yes.
Yeah. Make sure it is something you like. Maybe you'll have a stressful moment. Maybe take a step back, and then you can find love for it again. But don't die with the goal. All right. I think that was a good podcast over college. Thank you, Liam, for coming in.
Anytime, of course.
For the interview.
Great to be here.
Next episode will be out next Sunday. And see you guys later. All right. Okay. Sick. Yeah, I saw the wrap-up sign.